Hello there and welcome to Racehorse Movies, the show where two film fans take a racing sheet from last week, pick a random horse name for each other, and from that name pitch a movie. In the pitch, to flesh out our movie ideas, we may include such things as stars, directors, composers, best boys, and stable boys. Maybe not that last one. Hoping none of our ideas have to be put behind a screen and shot. The sky's the limit, the horses are on the starting line, the jockeys are frothing. It's time for Racehorse Movies.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Racehorse Movies. My name's Graham Thomas, and I am joined by my dear friend, Mr. Luke Searle.
Hello there. Hope everyone is doing splendidly.
How are you today, man? You good?
I'm doing very well, thank you, man. This may be because of a short week that we're currently enjoying, thanks to some bank holiday shenanigans, which always puts me in a decent spot, man. But yeah, doing very well. Thank you for asking, sir.
Good. It's been a while since we actually recorded our last episode, so I assume both of us have been very good boys and spent a lot of time on our pitches. The silence tells you everything.
Yes, speaks volumes, as a man much cleverer than I has once said, I'm sure. Yes, we spent lots of time not going on holiday together and diligently scribbling away the tomes that will encompass our pitches today, no doubt, man.
That is exactly what happened over at Thomas Towers.
Yep.
Non-stop scribbling. I didn't enjoy the sun. I didn't enjoy my holiday. I didn't enjoy Easter. I didn't eat an entire farmyard's worth of animals.
No.
None of that happened.
No celebratory chocolates have passed my lips. Nothing. I've been very devout. I've been on sort of a vow of chastity, silence, and contemplation, just so I could get this pitch done. Yes. We've been quite busy, man. We've been out and about. We've been enjoying things.
Yeah. So that means that our pitches are malformed or malformed. They're going to be lovely. They're not malformed.
They're like Brundlefly, man.
Just like my Brundle pitch. Lovely. Well, before we get into our lovely Brundle pitches, have you seen anything worth reporting?
Yeah, nothing really of note to talk about apart from like Eden Lake. I rewatched recently, man, which I thought was incredibly effective. Really enjoyed it.
God, I haven't seen that. I remember it's got a real gut punch of an ending, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, it's got a gut punch of a start, middle, and ending, man. It's pretty gut punchy as far as it goes. It's kind of across the board. From about the minute 30 in, I think you'd suddenly get that. And I like reading about the movie afterwards. I saw it was a British-French co-production, and that makes sense. It sort of fits in with the French New Extremity movies like Martyrs and Frontiers and Inside and movies like that. In that, you know, you're going to get into this, and the people aren't going to have a very nice time at all. And there's probably not going to be much of a look, it's all okay at the end kind of a thing going on, man.
Yeah. Scary stuff. For anyone who hasn't seen it, quick premise.
There is a young in love, we think, couple go on holiday back to the man's old stomping ground where he went on holiday with his mates. There's a beautiful place, there's a reservoir, there's this beautiful lake. We can have a marvellous time, we'll camp out, we'll be romantic. He's going to pop the question.
Is it in Scotland? Is it set in Scotland, sorry?
No, I don't believe so. I can't remember. It's somewhere in England. Somewhere in England. There lies a gang of children, and there is a gang of children who are at the side of this lake, and they're just being like rambunctious, playing loud music, being sort of like kids' dicks, like kids are meant to. It's fine, you know?
Yeah.
That's what they do. They're fulfilling their role perfectly. And then it starts to get more and more unsettling, more and more violent, and the edge, someone leaps over the edge as far as what people should and shouldn't do, and chaos ensues kind of after that. And these youths set about torturing this young couple, literally and otherwise, and chasing them throughout these woods that they were camping in. And there's you know, a chase ensues and horror ensues. The whole movie, it did the as all good horror should, reflecting the fears of our times, man, and how much we were terrified of hoodies and that culture and the youth culture that was happening back then. And this is the perfect extreme reflection of that. And it's kind of fun watching that. It might sort of lose its way slightly towards the end, because is it about rich people being scared of poor people who live in the country and country ways and all of that kind of stuff? Or is it about the fear of youth culture or whatever? It maybe muddies itself slightly at the end, but well worth a butcher's, man.
I highly recommend it. And I imagine it's pretty short.
90 minutes, in and out, done. Yes. Beautiful.
Perfect. Okay. Anything else?
No, other than I think one that we both, I'm going to say enjoyed watching, that we both viewed together, but not together, but we watched both of us, Quiet Place 2, man.
Yes. Now, I've been thinking lately that on our lovely, wonderful podcast, which is a lovely, safe environment to say nice things and not to say bad things about people's work and effort and art, I might just buck the trend slightly and say that Quiet Place Part 2 is pants.
And not like clean, fresh, nice pants.
Not
that have been ironed by your mum.
No, yes, these are my pants after Glastonbury pants. I was rubbish. I really are. I've got issues with the franchise, I guess, anyway. I think I preferred it to the first one, though.
I was going to say that, and I'm coming on the wrong foot with The Quiet Place 2 because I didn't like the first one. It didn't agree with me, I believe I said previously, and I stand by that. It gave me tummy rumbles. So I came on a bad footing with it, but I will say that it was better than the first one. I think I enjoyed it more. I was maybe because I don't know, it was a smaller story, so there was even less to sort of worry about, and I could just enjoy the very, very sort of straightforward narrative and a couple of jump scares and a bit of threat, and then you're out, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I don't. Wasn't for me. I don't like I've got too many questions, especially with the first one. Like, if it's safe to be near waterfalls because the waterfalls make noise and they can't
live there.
Why don't you? And also a water supply.
Yep, and you could do sexy Timotei showers every morning.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't they live next to waterfalls? But then is the noise of the waterfall too much for the?
So they just stay away from it, I guess,
because it's too much noise.
And they're not drawn to it like they are with other noise that's like, ooh, tempting. There's obviously tempting noise, and then that's too much noise and my head will open up and flap at you, kind of a thing. Yeah, and I guess the waterfall is at the other end of that, but that's still good for them if they built a house there because they're never going to go there.
Yeah, live next to the waterfall. I don't know, that was the first film. The second one, the way that it's actually made, I'm just confused as to why there's no diegetic sound.
That was really apparent in this watch of the Quiet Place 2, man.
Yeah. And should I mansplain what diegetic sound is?
Yeah, please do, man.
So in filmmaking terms, diegetic sound is sound that's from a recognizable source. So a song playing on the radio is coming from the radio. It sounds like it's coming from the radio. It's not the soundtrack. It's not the film score or sound effects like that. It's within the world itself. So they're trying to be quiet because that attracts the monsters, but you don't hear any natural sounds of the environment that they're in. It's like totally silent. There's no wind. There's no rustling of leaves.
And be clear, this is not the scenes in which we are showing the perspective from the young deaf, from the young deaf daughter. That's not what we're talking about. It is the parts when, for example, that the young boy climbs up the ladder, opens up that giant iron porthole cover, and I was like, at that point, I was like, right, we're in the metaverse, or it's all that's very in at the minute. So we're now in a different reality where they've invented like the best WD-40 in the world, and that's just part of like the lore of that world that they're in.
They nailed that one. Huh?
And it's like if I opened that cupboard right next to me, this is good. I'm pointing on a podcast. If I opened that cupboard, it would make some kind of a noise, and none of the footsteps, none of the doors or anything make any kind of sound whatsoever. It's bonkers.
There's a bit when one of the characters is walking quietly through a building and they rest their gun down, they put their bag down, they put all these things that have natural rustle. Nothing is absolutely, it's infuriating. I didn't like it. Yeah, I wasn't a particular fan of that, but I certainly not. I think in the first one, I just still hung up on the fact that everyone goes around telling everyone to be quiet.
Why don't they make grenades out of alarm clocks, old school alarm clocks that you can wind up and throw? Like,
I think because Wile E. Coyote's probably got all of them.
In his bunker. Is that and the WD-40 man? He's hoarding both the little sounds. So,
well, that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, we've managed to squeeze a few movies in there along with our gallivanting. Well done, us.
Well done, us indeed. So, while we've done that, shall we pitch some movies to each other?
Let's pitch some gosh darn movies, man.
Some mother flipping movies.
You bumblebee. So we've got a couple here from the 320 at Wolverhampton, I believe it was, the standard race card for the 10th of March 2023.
That is correct. And I believe I gave you the glorious mag named Harbour Vision.
You certainly did. And I gave you the rambunctious steed otherwise known as Dream Harder.
Yes, you did. All right.
So we're primed, we're horsed up, we're full of horse, Graham. Which of us is to unleash the beast first?
Well, if you don't mind, I think I'd like to go first, just to kind of...
I would love that, please.
Get it out of the way. Because
that's the spirit.
That's the spirit, yeah. I'm really
let's get this fucking thing over with, for God's sake.
Something might happen. I don't know. As is the way it seems with my pitches, not necessarily fully formed from beginning, middle, and end, but premise, setup, some things are going to happen, bit of development, yada, yada, yada.
Groovy, man. Let's hit it.
Now, I did something here. I haven't done.
Is this a confession?
I have done something. Ladies and gentlemen, I have done something. Something that we haven't done before, and I don't think we've ever discussed whether we're allowed to do this.
Sugar, this sounds a bit like you've gone completely off reservation, man. This is off the books. This is a black op. We're through the looking glass.
Punk rock. We are through the looking glass.
All right.
This is punk rock racehorse movies.
I'm sweating, man. What have you done?
I have made a sequel stroke update with a film title, Dream Harder.
Ooh.
So I don't know if that's against the rules.
I mean, it's so audacious that I'm having to rewrite the rules as I wonder what the rules were and are, Graham, man.
I've been called many things in my life, but
you're audacious.
Not been one.
Audacious and bodacious, man. Back in the 90s, bodacious. You were definitely bodacious. Okay.
I was pretty rad. So Chariots of Fire 2, Dream Harder. All right.
Wow. Okay. Oh my God. And not only have you just picked any old movie, man, we've got this. Yes. Of course it's allowed.
Yeah. So it's, so we're going to start at a school playing field in England. It's on a weekend. It's rainy. It's cold. It's miserable. It's, February time, winter. It's just horrible. There's runners on the cross-country track, rainy, miserable, cold, part of a running club. And we have that beautiful updating of the Chariots of Fire synth score as it comes in.
It's quite close to the Halloween, actually. Like, stab. Sorry, shall I do this as a bedding track for the pitch?
Yes, please. You sound like
the teachers from
Bear.
Peanuts, just on the running track, and Fozzie Bear to the left, also in the rain.
Yeah, it's a fun run. So we come to these guys, they're running around. We come to a guy in the pack, 18-year-old dude called Jamal. He's fierce, he's determined, he's got a great stride and a great engine. He's just a real natural runner. And he's got this big beaming smile on his face. And then by the side of the track, under an umbrella, his family are watching proudly as he runs. His mum is shouting out his lap time as he races past. And his father's cheering on. His nan's shouting encouragement. And then that's the opening. So you'd have that scene, and then it would come out Chariots of Fire 2.
I can see the minute that does, like the foot hitting the muddy pitch, explosion of water and slow motion. Wow, 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 wow.
So that's the opening start of the movie. Mm-hmm. And what we'll have, when I said Magnolia, in reference to my favourite film of all time, actually, and Paul Thomas Anderson's absolute masterpiece from 1999, multiple storylines.
Right, yeah.
All occurring, right? All interlinking. Of these multiple storylines, I have Jamal's. Well, that's about it.
I mean, yeah, that's a one of many. Yeah, okay.
So what we're going to do? All of this. The premise of this movie is
a teacher at school is one of the other ones.
Yeah, would be one of them. All of the movie is all leading up to the London 2012 Olympics.
Okay,
and it's all leading up to Super Saturday, which was the greatest moment in British summer event history, I believe, with Jessica Ennis-Hill winning heptathlon gold, Mo Farah winning 10,000 metres gold, Greg Rutherford winning the long jump gold. All that happened in about 45 minutes. It was just an incredible sporting moment. So the last act of the film will be those 45 minutes in real time in the stadium at Super Saturday.
We're doing the Robert Altman between all of the different characters who've got there. Absolutely, man. Yes. Okay.
That's the, loath to say the word, but that's my helicopter pitch. For this kind of, that's the kind of the overall premise of this movie. There's multiple storylines over different time periods, all leading towards this one, this Olympics and this Super Saturday.
Yep. Okay, absolutely.
So in the winter, Jamal's in this running club. I'll just go through Jamal's story because we haven't got all day, and I haven't got the inclination to make up 12 other stories on the spot. But I have a few, and I'll
I can. There's so much went into all of the work at the stadium. You can pick some workers there. You can pick some dancers involved in the opening show. You can pick the teacher at his school who's there to support him, and all of this kind of stuff, man.
So, yes, Jamal. After training, we have a nice family scene. They're having dinner together. They're all engaged with each other's lives, and they're all really super happy. And then at Jamal's running club, they've been selected for an overseas tour with another school in 2013 or 14 or something like that. So Jamal when Jamal finds that out, this is a further unseen. A few days later, he's at the running club. He's done training. He finds out that he's been selected to do this tour, and so he's really excited about it. And he phones home and he tells his nan the good news. She's the first one who picks up the phone. She says that she's very proud and that he's destined to be great, and he's already touching greatness. She can feel that his journey is just beginning. And Jamal's super happy, and he's got his big beaming smile that we saw at the beginning of the film when he's running. But then on the way home, Jamal is hit by a car, and unfortunately he badly breaks his leg. And so that's kind of the end of his professional running career his amateur career before it even started, really.
Mate, all right, who are you, me? What's going on?
Sorry,
I'm running like that. 20 minutes in, he's been run over.
He survives.
Good, yeah, sorry, yeah.
He's got an anecdote, at least.
Okay, so that's it, kaput, no more. Mm-hmm. Oh, mate, okay.
It's pretty much over.
Flip.
I mean, he can walk, he'll be able to learn
to walk, but to run professionally
at
is just...
competitive level.
Okay, crikey, blooming out, man.
And so that affects Jamal quite heavily, and he sinks into a depression because all his dreams and his future and everything now has just been altered irrevocably by this hit and run. He doesn't train properly, starts making poor choices with his diet, just sinking into depression and sadness. He lets his physio slide. He's just not...
His legs getting worse and worse. He's dragging again. It was getting so much better, man.
Yeah, he's not doing the physiotherapy exercises in his own time. He still goes to the centre, but he's not doing the stuff that they're asking him to do in his own time. So he's not really recovering at the speed and pace in which they would hope for him. But everyone is still encouraging him on. Everyone's still running around him. Okay, and then as we leave the winter, the spring starts, and it's approaching summer, and Jamal's running club that he's still a part of, he's still a member of, because his friends there, and they all kind of encourage him.
And they've all been there. They all turned up when he was in the hospital first, like all together, exactly. And they've kept on inviting him to all of the running meets and all that kind of a thing, because they know they don't want him to get further ostracised. Yep, yeah, okay.
Yes, exactly. So Jamal's club tell him that there is a volunteer drive for the Olympics. So they're looking for, before it goes volunteers for everyone else in the country, they go to these sports clubs and say who wants to take part in it, who wants to, do the ticket check or security or like the lines or manning the Olympic Village, working concession stands, or with the athletes themselves, kits.
Yeah, taking them to and fro, making sure they're looked after, and washing all the equipment.
Exactly, and just making the games run, basically. And Jamal declines the offer because though he's gracious for the offer, he says it's too painful for him to be there and not to compete. Even though he wouldn't have competed anyway at that event, he will still see professionals.
But that's where he was going to be.
His dream, yeah, exactly. It's an offer of his dream. It feels like it's a bit of a sting for him, so he declines. And then later on, Jamal actually receives an invitation to the Olympics. He has been selected as one of the best examples of youth in the country because of his potential and his setbacks. So what's actually happened is his nan has sent the application on his behalf, and with a letter saying this is what he could have been, this is the greatness that he could have.
Some of the videos they took in all of his previous wins and his amazing track records.
Exactly,
and things
he's
like
still
that.
helping out. He's still helping out at the running club. He's still, he's still there and being a part of it, even though he can't do it. Yes, so she's written this letter, this application, which probably you didn't need to because it's just
Yeah,
an
but it's
application for volunteer,
granny
but it's,
passion, man.
no,
Like,
it's granny passion. And so she tells him to go there and to just be part of something great, to see greatness and to win back that smile that she loved so much that he hasn't shown for months since the accident. Okay, so he decides, okay, no, you're right. The summer's coming. This is the Olympic Games. This is in London. This is the greatest sporting event this country has known for a generation, perhaps. I've got to be a part of it. It's an opportunity. And it will help me. So he's trying to help himself a bit. So he goes and he gets a variety of duties. And this point is where the storylines that we haven't thought of yet start to merge, because it goes on for 3 weeks. So we get these athletes or these trainers or these people or these builders or whomever all start to kind of interlink. All the tapestry is starting to get woven together now. And this is where he meets Claire, who's a volunteer from Brighton. And they spend a beautiful sunny afternoon at the aquatic centre, just checking tickets. She's from Brighton. She's got a big shock of pink hair. She's really kind of alternative and cool and fun and vivacious, and something that he's not really experienced before, having been in the running club, and just his duties as a young athlete required him to kind of be more focused and concentrate and do that. So she's a real breath of fresh air. And obviously it's at the Olympics, so there's so much excitement and energy. It's really hot, and they just have this really perfect coming of age afternoon bonding together at the aquatic centre. But they don't see each other again after that, because each day they get assigned new tasks so that everyone can get a flavour of the game. Some are in the village, some are in the velodrome or wherever it is. He's too shy to ask for her number, or he loses his number or something.
It gets blown out of his hand and goes in like a rowing pool or something like that.
The river.
That's the one.
Oh dear, that job application for BBC Sport commentary is still waiting for
my
feedback.
fervid reportage on the rowing pool and all its activities goes down in history as one of the best applications I've ever had, Graham. They said I was too talented, apparently.
Too talented, too knowledgeable.
Yes, you know too much about our rowing pools, Mr. Searle. We're going to have to politely decline.
Looks like you're making us all look bad with your knowledge. We can't have this. So they don't see each other again in the games, but he's always on the lookout for her and her pink hair. So we would follow him around over his days, and he's getting...
Has a few false flags or someone with a duster.
Exactly.
Yeah,
someone with a duster. Exactly. So that happens as well. And then it all building up to Super Saturday, the big kind of climax of the movie for all our storylines.
Yeah.
And on this day, on this particular day, he gets drawn out of the hat for the prize, probably the greatest role or job. Go in there, I guess, maybe. He gets to be one of the people at the lanes for the 100-meter men's final, by handing the athletes their towel.
Right.
Standing there, right? So he gets drawn for the 100-meter final. He can't believe it. So he walks out. We do that, like similar to that shot in Gladiator, where they walk out into the Colosseum for the first time.
Exactly what I was just thinking. Fantastic.
That would be our main interest.
Roaring crowd, the volume,
comes
the
out and looks around
of it all. Yeah.
Exactly. So that would be our first time into the main arena for the last 45 minutes of the movie, which is...
So now we're locked in. We're locked into this arena now, man. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I'm playing fast and loose with the facts of history, because I believe the men's 100-meter final ran on the Sunday, but they had heats on the Saturday, so it could be heat. It doesn't matter. That's not integral. It's not integral to the story. What is integral is that he draws a certain lane. I'm going to guess it's lane 8, but it might have been 6. I don't know. And he stands there, he has the towel, and on his lane is Usain Bolt.
Amazing.
Right?
Okay.
And he can't believe it, like standing 2 feet in front of him is Usain Bolt, one of the greatest sprinters the world's ever known. And in the crowd, his family are there just to be part of the thing, and they see him on the big screen, and they're cheering. It's quite sweet. And next to the family, a girl on her day off with pink hair just happens to come and sits down next to them. They start chatting and share some sweets. And she says, "Oh, I really like that kid. He's so cool." But just before the race has started, when they're announcing the runners, And this is inspired by a true thing that happened. They announce Usain Bolt's name. He waves to the crowd, and he turns round to the kid who's with his towel and stuff and just gives him a little fist bump. And the kid, he has to be kind of emotionless and like kind of professional.
Yeah.
But the kid just it's on YouTube. The kid just breaks out into the biggest beaming smile you've ever seen, and it's projected onto the screens all around the stadium. And his nan sees it, and she realizes, she gets her wish because he's literally touched greatness. And everyone's happy and cheers for him, and he feels like something's left him and something's happened.
The seal has been broken on his darkness, kind of a thing.
On his darkness, and all the stuff that's led him to this moment. He'll be like feels the only person in history that could have happened to, and it's happened to him. Yeah. So that's like this big start of this crescendo of emotional storylines that will come to an end when the action on the stadium unfurls in this 45 minutes of action. So that's kind of the end of his storyline. But we have a post-credits scene with Jamal, which is on Brighton Beach, and he's jogging with Claire. Maybe they have a little dog.
Yeah.
But he's not running for competition or anything, but he's running for fun and for love with her. His dreams have gone in a different way. They're new dreams now. It's a new start. And that's where we leave him from his journey.
Beautiful. Okay, cool.
Okay, so that's the kind of the spine of the film.
Yeah.
Some other ideas we'd have as the Olympics play out. You would have different things in the different events. So maybe someone watching Nicola Adams win the first ever female to win Olympic boxing gold in the flyweight division. Someone in the crowd, or a storyline that revolved around these key historic moments.
Yeah.
And I had an idea at the Olympic Village when during the games, everyone was just hanging out. It was really good fun. There was loads of bars and people from all over the world were just mingling, and it was just wonderful. So I had this idea at the opening, or within the first few days, two people meet, and they were intended to go to the aquatics, and they're intended to see everything, but it goes into like a before sunrise kind of segment where they just spend the entirety of the game with each other, talking and drinking, going to pubs and whatnot, and the games are playing in the on the TVs and the screens around them. They don't actually see a single event, even though they got tickets, because they're just so wrapped up in each other.
Into each other. Yeah.
And so they become, and the way that they're talking, they become like a Greek chorus for the film. So we drop in on them, and they're kind of commentating on the action. You might see events happening. But my big central set piece, my Magnolia set piece, I don't know how well you remember the movie, but there's an incredible moment when they all the characters independently of each other start singing along.
Yeah, the Amy Mann.
To the Amy Mann song, not going, Wise Up.
Not going to stop. That one.
Yeah, Wise Up.
That's it.
It's an amazing moment, and it's just such a culmination, or it's like kind of all these storylines. Everyone's at their lowest point, I guess. Yeah. And it's just a bravura piece of filmmaking. So my central bit is with this couple, this Greek chorus couple, and they're in Super Saturday maybe is about to start, or they're just getting so excited watching it in the pubs, and everyone's just so happy, and it's warm, and it's summer, and they're in love. And they have a bet. One of them says to the other one, I'll race you around the block. First one back to the bar to our drinks wins. And she goes, okay. And they go in opposite directions around the bar. That's the race.
Yeah.
And so it's 3, 2, 1, go. And they take off, and they start running. But as they turn a corner, they come across a puddle and they jump. But they kind of, what it is, it's actually a race around the world. So they jump over the puddle, bam, they land on the Champs-Élysées, and they're running, and they turn a corner, and they're in Rome, and then they turn a corner, they're running over sand dunes, and they're swimming in the ocean. It's this massive, fast-paced segment where they cross the entire globe, basically, to come back to where they agreed to meet back in the bar.
Yeah.
So you would have all these sports and nations that they're running through. And I thought it'd be a really good kind of explosion of culture and light and wonder and vision.
Yeah, that feels like, without reducing it at all, but like the Spike Jones, I think it was vodka advert back in the day, that you had people climbing through a train, appearing elsewhere, like a real completely fluid transition to loads of wild locations kind of a thing, man. That's what I'm picturing when you say that.
Yeah, exactly like that. Very propulsive and just full of joy and euphoria.
Will they be running through like the actual sporting events sort of as they're happening kind of a thing?
Yeah, they could do stuff like that. They could run through the the stadium and then do a lap with the 10,000 meters and then climb up the stairs and then...
And I can see him jumping over the boats or something, over the river or something like that, maybe.
Exactly.
Man. Yeah.
And it would just be really kind of out of nowhere and joyous and fun, because I want to, every time I think about the 2012 Olympics and Olympic Games in general, if you get past all the kind of the corporatization sponsorships and the nefarious corruption and deals and stuff, if you actually just get to the sport and the emotion that it creates in people, it's just so wonderful and so joyous.
That unification, man, like absolutely.
Unification. Yeah. It's so nice. So I want a film that captures that.
So will we have, like, when it starts, are we going to have, we obviously opening on Jamal with etc. and then bang, he's in. Do we then start having this nice, like, we're going from place to place in a, Richard Curtis-esque kind of a thing, for want of it's got that feel to it, man. That multi-character, we're spending segments with each, and that, and then we get the 45 minutes where we're all in one place, we're all together, we're all meeting each other. Wicked.
That's exactly right. I have much as I do not like the film.
Yeah, man.
I have Love Actually as a touch point. I've got Magnolia, Love Actually, and Chariots of Fire. So that is, I mean, we can probably lose Chariots of Fire 2012. Dream Harder and just call it Dream Harder, but I quite like it.
I think we should keep it, man.
And I want to use the music.
Yeah. I mean, mainly because of our serenading each other at the start.
So good. So that is my pitch for Dream Harder.
Green light.
Chariots of Fire 2.
Do not forget the Chariots. I cannot stress that
Chariots
enough, Graham.
of Fire 2. Dream Harder. As for casting and director, I haven't got too much. In fact, I got barely anything. All I've got is the soundtrack, because that's pretty much done already.
Are we just going to use the one we sang at the start of this?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
excellent.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm in. I immediately thought Dexter Fletcher, man. I was like, he's got so much. He's so good at passing his love through the screen. That sounds kind of odd and a bit creepy, but like he manages to put so much empathy and heart into his films.
He's really earnest, isn't he? There's no cynicism in his movies. I absolutely loved Eddie the Eagle. I really liked Rocket Man, Wild Bill, all of his films. Really.
Yeah. I think he could really, and we know that he can deal with exactly that, the spectacle, the fantastical elements, and we can allow for some of that Elton John flying above his piano kind of fantasy and some of the sporting scenes and things like that, definitely. And to show these great wonders that he's displaying on screen, he's really good at capturing that awe, I think.
I think so. I think that's a fantastic shout. I can't think of anyone better. I'm not even going to suggest Danny Boyle, maybe, but for his connection to the 2012 Olympics would be a nice little inside joke, I guess.
Yeah.
That's Dream Harder. I'm definitely up for Dexter Fletcher, and then Danny Boyle as a plan B.
Yeah. We can have him in the background if we need to, man. Yeah, that sounds great. I'm in. I'm absolutely in for Dream Harder, man. Especially because you cheeky use of sequels and colons. I haven't even told you off for this, man. Like you did it. You were again. So the word comes back again. So audacious, Graham. That I couldn't even react, mate. So you got away with it scot-free, man. That's great. I got away. And you've opened up potentially a few more doors for us as well. So thank you, mate. Bring a colon in. So Graham, man. Thank you very much for that. That was amazing. But I don't want to come back to the well. You know, you've already slaked my thirst. But did you have any alternative pitches that you thought about for Dream Harder at all, man?
I did actually, and this also has a kind of colon-y, epithet-y.
Have you double colon?
I've double colon.
Jesus,
it's one of I know it could be mainstream. It would be like not a TV movie, but it would be like, I can imagine it, this one that I'm about to pitch on like Disney Plus or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still sticking with sport. This was actually my first idea. As soon as you gave me the horse, this is what I immediately went. I was like, bang. Then I kind of went, but definitely sport. Dream Harder, the Pernille Harder story. Pernille Harder plays for Chelsea women's football team, and I'm not sure if she is anymore, but she was at one point the most expensive player in the world. By some margin. And the film would be a kind of a straight biopic of her rise, her exceptional talent, her rise to become the the highest paid player in the world at that time.
Yeah.
Also, her activism and campaigning for LGBTQ plus rights, and it would be that would be it. It would be like a straight biopic.
See, can we pitch like documentaries? It has to be fiction. It does have to be fiction, because like that would also, I can see when you were saying about it's popping up on Disney Plus, something like that, man. I can see that, the banner of it almost already, man. Mm-hmm. And again, I want to see it. I like inspirational. I like the happiness that this title has brought from you, man. This optimism is beautiful. It's just
thanks.
Like there were no antagonists in that pitch, and that was so nice. That was so lovely.
Hit and run, Kai.
Yeah, obviously we're like in the post credits, along with like the running. They're running and they run past his car on fire and he's crashed. There we go, sorted.
So that's the short pitch. That's
awesome.
Dream Harder, the Pernille Harder story.
Okay, dude. Well, thank you so much for the alternative pitch as well, man. Thank you for the happiness that your pitches have brought. That's lovely.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So that brings us on to hopefully more happiness. I don't know. You're looking very gothy today.
I know. I've got a black t-shirt on. Oh no, what have I done? I put eyeliner on as well, Graham. I listened to Welcome to the Black Parade. I don't know what to do.
I've put holes in my jumper sleeve so I can thread my thumbs through. Oh, this is going to be dark and scary. No, it's not. It's going to be whatever it is. And I don't care if it is dark and scary. It's going to be wonderful because you invented it. Now we are going to listen to your wonderful pitch for Harbour Vision.
We certainly are. Okay, Graham, are you going to be a little bit ready to go back in time with me?
I am more than willing to go back in time.
Okay, thank you, man. We're not time travelling, so don't get too excited. But we are dealing with an inventor. Young Maurice Jeffrey. He lives in a place called Followswell in England in 1912. So that's the time we have diddly-dooped back to. He is a lovely, gentle science teacher. He's a hobbyist inventor, and his house is full of these strange, like Doc Brownie-esque inventions. Doc Brownian, maybe? Inventions. Dockian Brownie-esque. Great Scott! Loads of inventions all over the place. Chaotic, lovable man. We meet Maurice laid in his bed, giant headphones over his ears, these big cans, like kind of really old, ginormous things. They could almost have some antennae coming out the top. It's attached to this like gently pinging machines showing like these little pips on an oscilloscope, and like next to his bed is this rudimentary home bodge tea station, and the alarms ringing, toast popping out the toaster, a clockwork mechanism pulls out the toaster, lays it on a plate, and 3 knives smear butter and jam all over it. So think Wallace and Gromit meet Doc Brown. That's where we're kind of at, man. Successfully, there's no burnt toast. These things work. They're a bit clickety-clackety, but they work, man. Okay. A cup of tea on a hot plate begins to steam next to him, and Maurice snores on with his cans all over his head. The tea starts to bubble, flipping frantically. The cup finally gives in and explodes the hot beverage all over Maurice. He wakes up with a start and a howl. His wife runs in hair curlers. Maurice, for goodness sake, will you listen to his little squirrels again? She snatches the headphones off his head as he comes to, looking sweetly baffled. What remaining hair he has in little tufts. And, oh, God, sorry. Oh, sorry, darling, am I late? Of course you bloody are, darling, she says, plants a tender kiss on his forehead. Shower, toast, school, quit sharp. So we get to see him have a frantic cycle through the village he's in. He's hailed by lots of the folks who live there, like the butchers, asking him to come and fix a meat slicer that he invented for them that's playing Merry Hell with the top side, all of that kind of a thing. So we see young Maurice at school, reading through some correspondences, one of whom is Paul Langevin, a French inventor, who's awfully excited about Maurice and the work he's doing listening to squirrels. We cut to Maurice in a lesson, teaching young, totally absorbed kids, showing off this massive orrery that he made, which clanks and grinds itself around the class, and Jupiter starts to go a little bit too fast and falls off. And at the door stands a very tall, handsome, suave-looking fellow, William Broome. This is Maurice's university friend, and he shakes his head in a, oh, dear old Maury sort of way, nods to Maurice through the window of the classroom, and both men smile. So he's got an unexpected visitor. His university friend has come from the big city. Of course, Maurice invites him over for dinner, wanting all of the news from the big city and to live slightly vicariously through William about the life that Maurice could have had if he'd followed him into the government after university, which is where William Bloom went to. But Maurice is totally happy. He loves his family. He's got Ruth, his wife, Jenny, his kids, and he gets to help people out every day, making little inventions and teach and influence these beautiful young minds that he connects so easily and well with every day, man. So he invites William over for dinner, and Ruth is immediately against it. Says, after what he did to you back at university, Maurice, we were just boys, love. It's all in the past. And she's like, look, he nearly got you thrown out of university, Maury. You were men, and he bloody well knew what he was up to. But nonetheless, Maurice invites his good old friend, or maybe not so good friend, or, accomplice, over to dinner for that night. And when there, William Broom regales them with self-important talk about his job working for the Secret Service Bureau. He starts to hint that there are some rather bothersome events at play overseas. Nothing that we can't handle, though, so don't you worry your little head about it, he says to Ruth, who, if she could look any more daggers at him, looks a couple more in his direction, kind of a thing. And don't you worry about it either, Maury. You stick to your tinkering, old boy. So throughout the meal, William keeps on throwing barbs at Maurice and his work. And don't feel bad for not following with me, old boy. Wouldn't wish it on anyone. God, all those lovely events one has to go to, all the champagne. It's a nightmare. You would never fit in. And he lays.
Sounds like an asshole.
Oh, he's not a nice dude, but Maurice's an accommodating fellow, man. We saw that on his ride through the village. We see him helping, but it's his natural instinct is to go out there and tinker, make things better, man. That's what he wants to do with all his inventions and all his energy. He's a good dude. He lays a few more, this is William, lays a few more hints that things at play over in Europe are not good at all. And he also asks when Ruth interjects, what's with all this squirrel talk at the table? You guys keep saying he's listening to squirrels, what are you talking about? And then Maurice finally, his eyes light up at the table, man. He's not just being put upon and put down by his mate. And he says, well, Jenny and I, we adore animals, of course, and they take great pleasure in tracking squirrels, or little fellows, as Maurice likes to call them, in their back garden. They've got this massive great hutch, and Maurice has invented this large machine that looks like part radio, part seismograph, and explains how each of the little ticks of the monitors on the paper are actually squirrels and their locations within the hutch. And it's like we can follow them everywhere and see exactly what the little fellows are up to, man. This is quite a marvellous little thing.
Okay.
William, despite being a complete prick, is quite impressed, silently impressed, man. And Maurice gets his little victory at the end of this meal, man. He shows him that he is living a great life and he's inventing great things. And look what he can do, man. Look at the fun I'm having, William. Why would I want to be there with all your bloody top-notch, top men and all your meetings and all the stress and terror you have to go through and the fact, exactly, top men.
Top men.
So, unfortunately, all of William Bloom's prophesying was true. Obviously, something was going horribly wrong in Europe at the time, and war begins. Maurice and his family are, of course, horrified. He is too old to go and serve. He's 50-odd now. But what he can do is sit back and watch the newsreels that start to flood into their little cinema. And we see the family in front of them completely agape. Maurice is absolutely heartbroken to see machines doing such terrible things. So while that is happening, we get to see William, Mr. Bloom at work, who sees the war as a way to go about furthering his own career, really. We see him in meetings with his bosses, just a few rungs beneath H.H. Asquith, the Prime Minister at the time. There's been a U-boat attack off the coast of Scotland. The Germans are in the King's Waters, and this cannot stand. The sneaky bastards are in and out undetected. And the first we know about it are 250 lost souls. They need results, they need defence, they need to win, and they need to win quickly. So William goes back to Follows Well. He goes back to Maurice. This time he's a little bit less bold and he's a little bit more cap in hand. About that squirrel machine of yours, old boy. It's the most confounded thing, but it's just kept on rattling about the old noggin. William asks Maurice if he might be able to make something like his little machine, but bigger. Maybe one that can see things beneath the waves.
I see what's happening.
So, William manages to give Maurice a little bit of money, sort you out some funds, old boy, a little something to get you started. Try and keep it on the hush-hush, though. Maurice, buys the best technology he can. He's a diligent scientist. He corresponds with Paul Langevin, that was terrible pronunciation, who is his scientist friend in France. And he says that this is the sort of task I've been given. So he gets some advice on the materials he might need to do and the kind of things that he might want to go about doing to make this contraption of his work on a larger scale. Obviously, Maurice also enlists the kids at school that he teaches.
Do they want to do it for king and country? Do they think that actually this is a war, this is for the war effort, this is going to save lives? Or are they easy reluctant in some ways that I don't want machines used for death and destruction?
Well, that is a massive quandary with Maurice, because as he starts to find success in the machine that he's making, he does start to make it more large scale. He hasn't got it to work underwater yet. That's the one thing he's not sure how to crack, but he can do it on land, and he's done it. He's done the playground, man. He's got the kids all out. We've got a lovely montage of them all. He's got frazzled hair. He's touching electrodes, like all of that kind of stuff, man. And the kids are running all about the playground, and we're seeing those little seismographs hitting away the locations of the kids on paper, kind of a thing. Things are starting to work. And as like this thing gets more real and better, like Maurice is suddenly like, well, oh shit, I'm starting to realize that I'm not just saving lives. If I do this, I might well be targeting people for, right, is this something that I want to keep doing? But like, what is, where, you know, him and Ruth, like, he'll obviously will spill his heart out to Knightley, and she's saying, like, look, William's doing it again to you, man. This is the kind of pain that I saw you in back at university, when he was messing you around and using you for his own gain and not caring about how you feel, because I'm the one who cares about how you feel, because I have to deal with you when you're like this all the time. And it's you're starting to get like you used to be, man. You're starting to get caught up in yourself, and I understand why, because it's a massive thing, but don't let him do this to you again. Don't let him do this to us. So we cut back to William doing his bigwig meetings. He's just ended another disappointing call from Maury, and this has been, you know, a couple of months now. Like, the U-boat threat is a complete terror still. They are out there. They are not being monitored. We don't know how to get that, man. He doesn't know what to say now to his top bosses, who he's kind of probably overpromised to, because it's William Broome and he's sweeping the place clean and he knows what to do. He's a capable man. And he's not delivering anything from his side of the fence. And he walks into a room full of top men and they're all sat around the table and he's got absolutely nothing. And some of the competitors, some of his other workers, his peers, are coming up with some results from France. And they're saying, well, actually, we've got a fellow over there who thinks he can probably see underneath the waves. But we also have news that there are spies now that are starting to infiltrate the borders of France. We're starting to become at risk, and we think that they're going to be hot on the trail of this, and they are going to either sabotage it or take the idea for themselves. And so William says, well, how about we give them a little misdirection? And I'm not going to give the full name, but I do know someone who's working on something that we could maybe let slip on and send them his way as opposed to the successful way, because he's a good man, but he's a bloody idiot. Let the French have their victory and let us help them keep it a bloody secret, eh? I can help you here, guys. I've got a red herring for you. We can redirect all of their attention over here. And so he gleefully, to remain in the conversation, throws poor Maurice under the bus. And he says, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to start seeding this misinformation that everything is happening and follows well. And that is the place where we are making large, massive breakthroughs in the technology, thinking that Maurice is just there screwing everything up like he normally does, really. So back to Maurice. One night, Ruth, Jenny are working late, climbing round in a freezing cold swimming pool, trying to get something to show up on the bloody seismographs that their father works at constantly at the other end of the pool. Jenny is walking along the side. She slips, she falls in. She gets entangled in some of the wires. Maurice obviously doesn't even think about it. He dives straight in after her, man. And as he's down there and he's lifting her up and saving her back out into the open, she's absolutely fine. She's climbing out. And as he's down there, he can hear Ruth screaming from the other end of the pool, and he can hear, he's like, yeah, wait a minute, I've been using radio waves, why don't I try? There's been nothing getting through this water, let's use sound waves, man. And he runs back and pens a letter to Paul, and he says, "My dearest Paul, I have begun to sing for my squirrels beneath the waves." And not long after this breakthrough moment, now, tension, drama, terror, a mysterious man arrives. He's very quiet, focused, somewhat intense. He introduces himself as Frank Spittle. So we know he's a goodie. He says he knows. That, yeah, definitely.
Is he from Harry Potter or something?
Yeah, it's like Dickens meets Potter. I'm Frank Spittle. Hello, governor. I'm covered in spittle because I spit a lot when I talk because I'm a baddie. He says he knows William and he's been sent to help Maurice. Maurice is obviously, he wants to call William and confirm, but William's gone well quiet of late. He's ignoring Maurice because he's thrown him under the bus, and he feels, even William is feeling somewhat guilty about selling his mate up the wazoo. So luckily, Maurice, he wants to go on working with this new breakthrough that he's just had. Montage number 2. Now we see Maurice and the kids experimenting in water. Montage again. So in the background, we always see like Mr. Spittle. He's always like happening upon them as they're experimenting in the pool, or just happens to be walking past the and he's got like a newspaper with the eyes cut out, stuff like that. Of course,
he's dabbing the corner of his mouth with his handkerchief.
Yeah. Well, no, he's always just got a hanky out the side of it. That's his like thing. He's just got Spittle a dribbly hanky. Yeah, Spittle. So he's sort of like there. He's always been shushed away. They're having to keep him on.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Like Ruth is the saviour here, because got to clear ahead of Maury, who is just constantly at the pool. He's constantly researching. Ruth is in and about the village, man. She's at home. She's seeing Mr. Spittle lurking Spittle. I can't. It's too.
Did she find out when it was written down that it's Spitzel? It's actually German.
Well, dig this, man. Dig this, because this is where everything starts like slightly. I know what's going to happen towards the end, man, but like this is where I'm like, and I've written down in my notes here. Ruth overhears or spots something odd about Frank, spending some time helping him to settling into the town. Maybe he stubs his toe and cries "Schweinhund."
Mein Gott.
So, like, Ruth is looking out for poor Maurice because he's too innocent and lovely, man, and she's keeping her eye on this shifty newcomer in town. I know that Ruth will be the one to foil this. Spoiler alert: the German spy Frank Spittle. It's going to end in a tense chase around like the family home, and all of the inventions that Maurice has made are going to be like tripping up Frank at every kind of turn, ending in Frank backing up against the mirror that tied the tie around Maurice's neck at the start, and it chokes him to unconsciousness. It incapacitates him. I don't want to. I'm not going to. I'm kill free, man. We're going kill free, baby.
Yeah, let's go kill free.
I'm feeling good. You've inspired me after your
Michael Myers-y, that little sequence. So
yeah. I think more Home Alone. We're pitching that Home Alone kind of a thing, man. So he's getting entangled in all of these things. He's getting like little shocks off of stuff.
Okay.
So while that's happening, obviously Maurice has he's managed now to spot things underwater using sound and not radio waves, man. And he's making those little graphs tickle their way across the page, and it's an absolute breakthrough. And he has done it on a larger scale in the Villager's Bay. And he says, "Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Harbour Vision. This will allow us to see the things that lay beneath the waves." Yeah, done. So we've had like the Germans come in, the spy. There's been drama between Ruth and he, and then we need Maurice and William to like settle their bets. I think we'll do it in the swimming pool where they first do their tests, because of all the recording equipment that we got round there already, obviously. And we will get the confession from William Bloom. He'll slip into it in a rage, fighting back again. "I did it for king and country. How dare you, Maurice?" And they get this outpouring. Young Jenny is obviously behind the boards as her father and he rage against each other at poolside. And she will record like William's sort of confession of sorts upon the very instruments they use to, and that's about as far as I got, man. That was kind of the end bit. All got a bit smushed together and rushed, but that's what I want to happen. That's where it's going.
Can William Bloom actually be a German spy?
Absolutely. That's way better.
Okay.
So are we ditching the other... Are we ditching Spittle?
No, we are certainly not. Frank Spittle is in this movie. But I think maybe because who put Frank Spittle onto him is William Bloom did.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think William Bloom needs to either be, doesn't need to be, it could be anything you want, it's your story, like a German spy or someone who's interagency, kind of like a war profiteer.
Yeah.
So like all his shtick is about, I'm doing this for king and country, blah, 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 blah. But really he's just doing it for the highest bidder. He has no real allegiances. He has no real talent. So I think maybe William Bloom capitalized on Maurice Jeffrey's invention or whatever it was at university.
Yes.
Rode those coattails in a Steve Jobs. He's just very slick at marketing himself and marketing things. And that's how he's greased his way up the ladder. But really he's got no allegiances. He's got no depth. He'll go to the highest bidder. So maybe he has been turned by the Germans or something like that. It's something that he's not doing it for king and country.
I love that. That's
as specific as he's a German spy. It's just that he's
working for where it suits. Yeah, okay, well that's great because like he will have nicked like a little recording microphone or something that Maurice worked on sort of back in the day for his university thesis.
Or there was some wording in a patent that they patented at university, and it just meant that William Bloom got
the sole beneficiary of all of the
he got loads and
kudo, because that's what matters to him as well. Yeah.
And Maurice he got some, but not enough. But for him, he didn't really.
Okay, so in that case, we have the Boathouse Confession.
That's a great 2000s band, isn't it? The Boathouse Confession.
So we have that, and he is also outed as being a spy. Or there's a better way we can out him, I guess. Maybe we get maybe Spittle can have something on him or about his person that is from William that suggests that he has sent him directly to Maurice.
Is that the end for Maurice? Then he goes back to his lovely life. He gets a thank you from the government for exposing.
He gets a medal. Absolutely, he is recognised for service to the king, and he has a lot of the recognition that he never got because of the kerfuffles at the end of his university career, thanks to Broom and his involvement.
Can he? At the end, and they're like a coda or like a denouement, like 2 years later or however many years later, when Jenny's a bit grown up, she's like 17 or 18 or something, and she goes to the same university, and they've named a little laboratory after him.
Yes. Yeah.
Not necessarily like a wing, but just something very small, like the reading room or something like that. And
the Nook. Yeah,
the Nook, and it's just his little plaque, and she just polishes it a little.
Yeah, bit. And it's got his orrery on it, and going around, man, still Jupiter wobbling, and that's her dad's space.
Nothing huge and grand, just something nice and quiet and simple for him that they in recognition of his work in the war, for the war effort, and past achievements, and maybe in recompense for their cock up at not recognising his abilities.
Talent sooner.
Quite sweet.
Yeah, that's
so he goes back to his happy life and his inventions, and
he's back cycling around, fixing the butcher's slicing machine and the automatic nets. Man, that's where he wants to be.
It's super sweet. I like it. Harbour Vision.
Yeah,
happy with that.
There we go. Okay,
that was amazing. I really enjoyed that a lot. It's really sweet and gentle, which I think is a bit different from you, actually, from what you
normally I'm rough and awful.
Rough and awful, yeah. Do you want to talk about directors or casting, or who have you got? I've got quite a few on the casting list.
So casting, I didn't have anyone bar Toby Jones as Maurice. That was all I could think.
I've got Toby Jones. I've also got Toby Jones for William Bloom as well.
Oh, nasty Broom. He can do an absolute slime bag, man.
I reckon he could do a really good slime bag. I reckon he could do arrogant really, really well.
Yeah. Yeah, he can.
So in both columns, I've got Toby Jones. But Toby Jones is Maurice Jeffries.
I could just see him just like the lovely detectorist kind of air that he has about him, man.
He's the only one you've got for Maurice Jones.
Yeah, that was
Jeffries.
That was all I had.
I've got 8.
Holy moly! Right, hit me with some. Let's go.
I've got a spotlight edition.
You need like a football team of Maurice's.
I've got a football team. Yeah. So my top, as soon as you said him, like he described his day cycling around and stuff like that, Hugh Bonneville.
Oh, He would be, he'd be absolutely fantastic. And he looks great on a 20s bike.
He would look great on a 20s bike, yeah. It's very last of the summer whiny, isn't it?
Yeah.
He might be a bit old, but I've got Jim Broadbent.
Yeah, he might be. He can be. No, I'll have him as one of the top men.
Top men. We should explain why we've been saying top men like this. It's from Raiders of the Lost Ark, right?
Yes, yeah.
Top men on this.
Yeah. Like we've given it to top men. Top men.
And then I've got Eddie Marsan.
Oh, excellent. Let's sing his praises from the roof as much as we can. So yes,
he should be in everything. I've got Colin Firth. If we were going down prestige,
handsome
casting route, handsome, charming,
a bit handsome,
bit too handsome. He can do really nice, earnest, and sweet, very very well. And he's a grade A movie star. So
he is. Yeah,
he get some funding going. Yeah. Then I've got Toby Jones. Then I've got 3 wild card choices. I've got Alfred Molina.
Oh, that's really good. I like Alfred Molina a lot, man.
I've got him. I've got Stephen Rea.
Yes. Yeah.
I can imagine him with the bushy hair and all kind of not haggard, but just
hangdog, maybe
hangdog,
but in a happy way. I'm happy my face doesn't look that that way, kind of a thing.
And then going back to movie star and young. Actually, you said 50s, so I'm not sure we could do this. We could probably age him up. I've got Martin Freeman.
We could definitely pull him off as 50s, man, without a doubt. And he's got that it feels like half of his mind is on something else all the time. And I don't mean that to be that he's a bad actor or like anything like that. It's just he's good at making the characters that he's in seem as if they're thinking a lot. A bit like Michael Keaton does in Batman, where you're like, oh, he's thinking about being Batman, even though he's Bruce Wayne at this point, that kind of a thing, man. So I like that.
Okay,
okay.
For William Broome, who have you got?
Dominic West.
Oh, that's a great shout. Yes, I didn't even think of that as a good shout. Yeah. Okay.
And that was it. That was all the way. Yep.
Okay. I've got, for William Broome, going for the Hugh Bonneville kind of age, maybe slightly older. I don't know. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5, actually.
Oh, man, this is amazing. This is great. Right, hit me.
Karen Hines.
Oh, flipping oath, man. Yeah.
He looks good in a suit. He's fierce. He looks good in a suit with his hair kind of slicked. And I can imagine him as a government spook kind of guy in that time.
He's got a face made for like being half in shadow, man, like a spy.
Yeah.
And that's not because he's not because I don't want to see all of his face. It's just it's very dramatic and
British,
it looks good half. Yeah, absolutely.
Karen Hines. I've got Jeremy Irons.
Perfect. Yeah.
Gonna be good. I've got Toby Jones again, which I think
as
would be quite
discussed. I would like to see switch it on its nose.
I've got Hugh Laurie.
He's I think the Night Manager. I think he's very good at being those kind of compromised, posh, suave, spy-like types, man. Yep.
And I've got Richard E. Grant.
I kind of like E. Grant.
Because I think he can do charm by the bucket load.
But danger as well.
But danger, he can do the charm and danger. I can imagine his energy when he's in the boardroom meetings, like working sides off, having to think fast on his feet and like throwing Maurice under the bus.
Yeah, and like you can see him like the fidgetiness of him, absolutely. Like, and he's twisting something in his hand. Like, hold on a minute, guys. Yep,
I've got an idea. Right. Frank Spittle. I've only got one name. Well, I wrote down immediately as you said Frank Spittle, and then as we develop that character further, this is totally inappropriate casting. So. But the only one I've got is Ray Winstone. Because I want Ray Winstone to barrel into this movie. Bosh. Spittle. Frankie Spittle.
Now you can trust me, darling. Let me in the house. I just want to have a look at the squirrels.
What's for breakfast? 2 egg, double sausage, tomato. Bakey boo. That's what I want.
Ray Winstone, man. Yeah, I mean, I had maybe if you put Ray Winstone into an opposite machine, out the other side would come Ben Whishaw. My choice. I think he might be the polar opposite to a Winstone is a Whishaw. They're both at the same level of the
I
alphabet.
want Ray Winstone and Ben Whishaw in a buddy cop movie.
I'm really not certain we should be maybe not doing this. Is this a terribly good idea?
Shut your trap and get at the back of the motor.
Okay, cool. Yeah. For Frank Spitz, it was. I didn't know. I just thought Winston in this film somehow, man. He's another top man. We've got a table of top men. We've already said that, man. He's up there.
I want it because everyone's got these lovely clipped kind of accents, and they're all sweet and as gentle as the summer whiny. And Frank Spittle comes in.
Spittle by name, Spittle by nature.
Nature. You toilet.
So that's right. He's in, man.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So I didn't have anyone else. For Ruth, Emily Watson, I thought would be lovely because
lovely.
She's just amazing. And then for Jenny, Frankie Corio from After Sun, because one of the best young actors, one of the best actors. It doesn't have to put an age to that, man. One of the best actors I've ever seen, and is age appropriate for the role.
Effing fantastic in that movie. That is a fantastic movie.
No, it's very good. I nearly sort of welled up just saying yes, it's good. So that's kind of how good it is, I think. Actually, man, it's proper, and she is so. She'd be so good at showing that enthusiasm that Maurice has and mirroring it, and just getting so swept up in the fun that her and her dad are having.
And directors.
I was thinking Joe Cornish would do quite a good job of this, actually. I think
he would,
because he's really good at showing the enthusiasm of childhood and the way that children fairly authentically act together as well. He's good at capturing kids. Rephrase that. Joe Cornish is not good at capturing kids.
Cornballs, what are you up to?
I'm so sorry. He's very good at getting that energy and making it feel legitimate.
Yeah, if he could scale that up, which I'm sure he could, to the age-appropriate actors, that would be a good translation. I like that. I've only got one. I got Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who did Amélie in A Very Long Engagement and Micmacs and stuff like that. I think he's a fantastic director, but he can certainly bring the exuberance and the fun and the manic energy. As
well as the heaviness of A Very Long Engagement, which is very impactful at the same time as having all of his, all of the things that we recognise.
And I can imagine the thought, especially in A Very Long Engagement, and also the Amélie, the way it's shot, the kind of the romanticism that he puts into his scenes. Obviously in Amélie, Paris has never looked like that. But
he brings some of that to the town of Follows man, and that'd be lovely. And I can see that the way that he would track his early first morning journey that we take with him, man. I think that Jeunet would do a really good job of that.
And the design and detail that he would put into the contraptions that Maurice makes. You know what I mean? He's got a real Heath Robinson style to his design work, I think, where everything's kind of strange and overly designed and overly complicated to do simple tasks.
Yeah.
I think Jean-Pierre Jeunet would be quite nice with that. And he would bring in a lovely, innocent tone. I think he would really like the character of Maurice. You'd know that the director loves his character.
Yep.
Doesn't see any badness in him. Just sees...
or see him as a fool or anything that. Exactly. I don't want that. I want him to be celebrated, not mocked at all. I want his enthusiasm as this beautiful thing, man, that needs to be nurtured, not laughed at or anything like that.
Cool. I really, really enjoyed that. That's fantastic. Did you have any other ideas for Harbour Vision?
It was tough, but I found it really hard. I was going to pitch it as someone trying to sell sonar, and it was going to be a Coen Brothers-esque kind of like the guy who's trying to sell dry cleaning in...
The Man Who Wasn't There?
Oh, The Man Who Wasn't There. Sorry, Man Who Wasn't There. That's exactly right. Thank you. And it was going to be the life of this inventor who always comes up with these beautiful inventions, but he gets pipped to the post at every patent that he tries to put in. It was going to be like this, a Simple Man-esque tale of his failures.
Did you have any ideas on Dream Harder?
Yes, I did actually, thinking about it, man. Shall we do a couple of our other idea time?
Yeah.
Is that where we're slipping into now, sir?
Yeah, no, we could do that. I mean, my Harbour Vision is very slight.
Arguably, as was mine, sir, so that's not a problem.
My Harbour Vision was set during a war. I won't say which one because I don't know. But maybe on this island, this lighthouse, which is manned by people that have gone to war and they're not coming back. Or you get the news back that some of them are dying, and this lighthouse then gets taken over by the women that are left behind and the old people and the youth, just to keep this lighthouse going, to set these signals up so that as to herald these people back in. And it's kind of how a community in a fishing village or whatever it is, do all that they can do to survive or to keep going and keep the spirit of what made that community or what made that spirit alive pre-war. So it goes through the war, and it's just about basically the everyday manning of the lighthouse.
I like that a lot. That's lovely, man. Again, just aside from the time it is in and all the things happening around it, another positive story, man, about continuity and not losing hope. I like that, man. We've had a very hopeful podcast this week.
We have, haven't we?
Great, man. Yeah, it's good. Let's keep getting out of bed on this side, whichever one it was this morning.
Yeah, I think we should. It's been very hopeful. What about Dream Harder? This is where it goes dark.
Yeah, Dream Harder about a bunch of kids get killed.
In their dreams.
yeah, really hard. They're dead hard.
Elm Street, 12, Dream Harder.
Well, dude, I mean, how can I not? Obviously, you've just heard Harbour Vision, so I'm a literalist, if nothing else, man. Dream Harder. So I was like, right, I'm thinking like I've got a couple of sentences, if that. Like it's a group of like new age enthusiasts who turn their hands to like lucid dreaming. Mm-hmm. And a really fierce competition grows between them, like the time that they try to make like the best kombucha from scratch kind of a thing, but it gets really toxic. And we start to get a Flatliners style people pushing themselves to the limit. And like you've got the creepy guy who's like going around doing terrible things when he's lucid dreaming and spying on people, and they have to rally round to stop this like evil yet expert lucid dreamer, and they have to combine their powers to fight him off kind of a thing. So we'll go Flatliners but dreams, basically.
I like that. That's great. So that, I guess, should we pick some horses for next week?
Oh, heavens, we're at horse pickery already, man. Absolutely.
I think we're at horse pickery.
Roll up the nags.
I'm also getting a bit peckish. And this week coming up, not to timestamp it, but I'm just about to, on the 15th of April, Saturday the 15th, is the Grand National. So we better pick some horses from that. What we could do, we could do something different.
I think we should.
We could do the same horse, but pick two different genres. Or we could pick the same horse.
I like that.
How would the genres work? So we'd both pick the same horse. I would give you the genre and you would give me my genre.
Yes.
Okay, let's do that.
Fantastic choices here, man. Right, so how are we picking then?
There's one called Fury Road. I'm going to do that.
Done. Sorry.
Hill 16.
Yes.
Well, not everything has to be about fucking Vietnam. What is with you? Is there any that leap out at you?
Yes. I quite like, but this is probably just because we talked about Ray Winstone, but I like the big dog.
The big dog.
Mortal, that's quite open.
Yeah, I thought Mortal was pretty good. That jumped out at me. I'm happy with the big dog or Mortal.
Let's go Mortal.
Okay, so for the Grand National special episode that we will record next week, we will both do Mortal. And for you, your genre is going to be... Is that too easy? No, well, we'll see. Comic book superhero.
Okay, comic book superhero. Okay, right, wait. I'm going to make some notes on this stuff.
Although that is comic book doesn't necessarily mean superhero, so maybe I should pick one or the other.
No, that's true. Superhero, yep.
Superhero.
Yeah. Okay, so, okay. God, bang goes the hard-boiled Frank Miller-esque Mortal that I was going to tell. Thanks, Graham. And here's Chevy with a big trunk.
And my mitts.
Okay, superhero. I like that, man.
Okay.
Okay, yours is going to be gangster film.
A gangster film. Okay.
Is that an appropriate genre?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Gangster genre called Mortal. Okay, I got this. And I'll tell you what we'll do, if you're up for it. We will put £20 on Mortal to win each way. And if it does, it goes to a charity of our choice.
I think that's an absolutely fantastic idea, man. Damn right.
Okay, and we will select the charity nearer the time because I can't think of one off the top of my head. I've got a few ideas.
Yeah, but we'll do some due diligence, man, and absolutely, that sounds like a really, really lovely idea, and goes with the positive theme that this whole episode has carried through, man. Lovely.
Okay, so next week we will be recording Mortal. Both have the same horse, but two different genres. Mortal,
superhero, gangster. Mortal, who is a superhero gangster. Wait a minute, no, don't get our wires crossed. Fantastic, man. That sounds like a great plan. Shake things up. Let's see what we do. That sounds brilliant. In honour of the Grand National. Let's do it.
Exactly. Wonderful. Well, I have had a lovely time talking about our happy films, Dream Harder and Harbour Vision. And they were kind of happy and euphoric, but maybe it's because the spring is here.
That's it, man. Sunshine.
Changing. Sunshine. Makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah, proper job, man. Well, it's lovely to hear, my man, and I'm very glad you're doing well.
And until we meet next week, I guess that nothing left for us to say except for goodbye, take care of each other, and look after yourselves as well, and fill your days with nothing but happiness and joy.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, be happy, everyone, and thank you kindly for letting us take you into the Mind Cinema once more. Appreciate it.
See you next week for some more Mind Cinema fun.
Ta-ta.
Bye. Well, there we have it. Another episode of Racehorse Movies is over. We both hope you had as much fun listening as we did coming up with these films and recording our pitches. If you enjoyed this, please share it around with your friends and loved ones. And if it wasn't your thing, I don't know, maybe share it with someone you miffed with. Who knows? If it's not for them either, maybe you two can build some bridges over that connection. But if you did like picking up what we put down and you fancy checking out some more content from us, then head over to TheNeverPress.com to take a gander at our novels, poetry and other bits and bobs. Anyway, that's about enough from us. Hope to have you back next time for some friendly chat and barely thought through pitches at Racehorse Movies. Ta-ta!